Don't you love it when great prospects land in great landing spots and get the draft capital? Because that's what happened with Rondale Moore going in the mid-second round. He went at the 217 in this year's rookie draft. Obviously, from the context and the tone that I'm using now, you know I'm all in on Rondale Moore. Alex, how hyped are you to see this little spark plug go nuts in Arizona?
It's fun, man. And this one's interesting. I think it's going to be great to see how Kliff Kingsbury is going to use him. I think he drafted him in round 2 when you've already got Hopkins, Christian Kirk, AJ Green now in Arizona. You only draft a wide receiver like this in round 2 if you have a specific plan in mind. And Rondale Moore brings a lot to the table that other guys can't. He's a Swiss Army knife. We saw him absolutely crush at Purdue at age 18, 114 receptions, 1,258 yards, and 12 touchdowns as a true freshman at Purdue in a Power 5 conference. So I think
he also added, listen to this, 744 yards on special teams.
Fantastic. So, I mean, we talked about Jalen Waddle recently. I think it's kind of similar for Rondale Moore. Comes into a situation where he's not going to be some kind of target hog, but we're going to see him returning punts. We're going to see him returning kicks. We're going to see him on these end arounds, out of the backfield, on screens, in the slot, maybe taking some guys deep. So I think it's going to be really fun to see how Kingsbury is going to use him in Arizona. I like the spot, Steph. I know you love the landing spot and you love the prospect. So I want to hear more about what you think of Rondale Moore and what he's going to do in Arizona.
Yeah, he moved up into the wide receiver 3 spot for me in this class.
Whoa.
This is a player that, in my eyes, could be a generational talent based on how much of an outlier he is as a producer and as an athlete. He's an explosive, dynamic playmaker, a physical freak. Okay, he's 94th percentile or higher in every athletic metric. Ran a 4.37 at 5'7", 181 pounds.
It's pretty good.
He's a small but very physical player who's super quick. You can't bring this guy down. He has that low center of gravity that he's able to truck DBs at the second level. And he enters into a situation that I think is great. And I think it's great because even if he's not going to be the guy, right? We have DeAndre Hopkins. He's not going to outproduce DeAndre Hopkins maybe ever throughout his career because that's not necessarily the player that he is, but I think he's going to be on the field a lot. And when you have a playmaker like Rondale Moore on the field a lot, Kliff Kingsbury is going to see that, and he's going to say, holy cow, we got to get this kid the ball as much as possible. And he enters a situation with Larry Fitzgerald, Kenyon Drake, and Dan Arnold vacating 156 targets on this offense. We have DeAndre Hopkins, who's going to be 29 this year. We have Christian Kirk entering a contract year. We have Andy Isabella with 2 years left on his deal. It almost seems like this Rondale Moore pick is just like a re-roll of the Andy Isabella pick where they were going after this athletic freak. Isabella was another guy that ran a 4.31, had 2,000-yard seasons at UMass. But in year 1, Rondale Moore, from a ceiling perspective, his volume, I think, is that Larry Fitzgerald 72 targets. And listen to this, Alex. Arizona led the NFL by far in 4 wide receiver sets, both by the percentage of their plays and in total snaps run from that personnel grouping. And I was mind blown when I was digging into the 4 wide receiver set data. It's almost like the tight end landscape. You have a few offenses that do it a ton, and then pretty much no other offenses that ever do it. So Arizona had 216 snaps in a 4 wide receiver set. Buffalo had 190 snaps in a 4 wide receiver set. And there wasn't another team with over 100 snaps.
Wow.
For the 4 wide receiver set in 2020. So when you have 4 receivers on the field, Rondale Moore is going to get playing time, I think, right off the bat. It may not be a monster snap share, but he's going to be on the field. We're going to see the efficiency because that's the type of player that he is. Moore can take snaps all over the field. Not only did he have over 1,200 receiving yards his freshman year in a Power 5 conference, he also had the 766 special teams yards, and he added another 200 rushing yards. So this is a guy that can take snaps out of the backfield. I even worry a little bit for Chase Edmonds' check down volume in this offense as well, because I do think Rondale Moore can tap into that a little bit as well. It's wheels up for Rondale Moore for me, and not only for his rookie year. I think there'll be some onboarding time. Once he's fully acclimated, I think he's going to command a very solid, 70 to 120 targets per year. And if he can ascend past The height, that's the biggest concern with Rondale Moore, him being 5'7". Very rarely do you see any receivers that are under 5'9". You think of like the T.Y. Hiltons of the world that fit that height. We have Jakeem Grant, who is on the Dolphins, is probably the closest thing to a 5'7" receiver, and he's awful. So that's the only concern. If he can outproduce, if he can transcend the height concerns, this kid's going to be a monster and a guy that you want on all your fantasy rosters.
Yeah, I love it. And Jakeem Grant, if you're listening, we're sorry that we had to do you like that. Growth spurt's coming, I swear. But yeah, I love what you said about Rondale, Stef. I see him to be almost like a Curtis Samuel this season. I statted out the Cardinals already, and these stats are going to change as we do get things closer to opening kickoff. But at my first pass, I had Rondale at 78 targets, which I think is phenomenal as a rookie, given 17 games. So on a 16-game season, that's going to be low 70s. But 78 targets and 22 carries in his rookie season. Not enough to necessarily be a consistent fantasy football producer from day one, but I think he's going to have his weeks on DFS as a rookie. If we see A.J. Green miss time, not saying he's going to, but he has pretty much every season for the past 3-4 years of his career. That could open some things up for Rondale. And we might just see Kyler Murray really open up this passing volume, especially with, like you said, Larry Fitzgerald and Dan Arnold being out of this offense. So I'm excited for Rondale. I have him a little bit lower than you. He's my number 5 wide receiver in this rookie class, but I love the prospect, and I think his upside is there. I think a Curtis Samuel plus is kind of what we could be looking at with Rondale Moore.